So recently I was watching videos on YouTube about Sugar Ray Leonard's legacy in boxing and what he did in the sport, and wanted to pose the question of if Floyd Mayweather fought Sugar Ray Leonard, who will win that fight? I think Floyd, great defensive fighter, very offensively gifted, right? He has offensive skills, but I think Sugar Ray Leonard's defense not quite as good. Still a good defensive fighter overall, but he's probably known more for his offensive ability. But I think the difference between the two of them is going to be closing the show, and I think that's probably what most people who are of a certain age in boxing, a fan's perspective is going to say is that Ray Leonard just had a killer instinct to finish his fights that Floyd Mayweather doesn't have. I think Floyd, early in his career, before he was money, he was pretty boy Floyd. He had that finishing ability, he had that energy to do it. But I think it took a toll on his hands because we've known him for having brittle hands, and he didn't, continue to fight that way, and took a more defensive, outpointing approach, than he did prior to that. So I think, Sugar Ray Leonard was pretty much that way up until his, you know, end of his career. So I think that he wanted to put on a show, finish fights, and I think that if they were to have fought each other in their primes, I think that would have been the difference. I think Sugar Ray Leonard was gonna want to put on a show and he wanted to finish you. He wanted to show that he was better than you, and really wanted to, had a posture about him that, from what I saw, Floyd Mayweather doesn't have. He'd be happy to outpoint you and say that he beat you 12 rounds than he would to say he knocked you out. And I think that he plays it safe, and there's nothing wrong with that as a fighter, right? Your goal is to get out of there the same way you came in and not have damage. So if that's what it takes to get the job done, then that's what it takes. But I think that has been Floyd Mayweather's sole agenda, from this incarnation from the pretty boy to the money man. And I think that, Sugar just would have not allowed that to happen. And we've seen Floyd take some damage in the fights with Maidana. Cotto had him, was able to get to him, didn't really hurt him per se, but he got to him. Shane Mosley had a moment in his fight with him that he was able to get to him, hurt him with a punch. And I think that, Sugar Ray Leonard is, better than all three of those guys by far. And I think he would have gotten to him a lot more often, and maybe had an opportunity to, really steal a lot of rounds and steal a lot of moments to either outpoint him or maybe potentially finish him. We can't ever say that because Mayweather has not lost to this point, so we can't question his grit and toughness. But we gotta, look at guys that Floyd Mayweather has fought in his career and guys that Ray Leonard has fought in his career, and see and compare. So that's all really we can do, right? It's a fantasy fight. So let me know what you think. What's your opinion on that? Peace.